They've chanted very well. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Śaṅkaram Loka Śaṅkaram Śaṅkaram Śaṅkaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Shruti Sadashiva Samarambham Vyasa Śaṅkara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. A sadhanam is a means. It's an implement used to achieve something. We have a goal to achieve, and anything we use to achieve this is called sadhana. We usually have several of them, therefore sadhanani, plural. Because in Sādhana Panchakam, it is a complete word. Sādhana Panchakam. What we try to achieve is called sadhya, to be achieved. And who is trying to achieve that? The person trying to achieve is called sadhaka. So we have a sadhaka trying to achieve a sadhya using a sadhanam. We have in life many sadhya. What is the sadhya? What is it that we're trying to achieve? It's something everyone should examine. By examining what it is that I'm trying to achieve, it is necessary both from the point of view of understanding why someone is trying to achieve a particular end. Sometimes when you examine it, it turns out to be of no consequence. The end to be achieved is something that needs to be very carefully examined. Not only from the point of view that if you don't know what you want to achieve and why one wants to achieve that, in the first case, if we don't know what you want to achieve, it is not possible to find what sadhanam to use. And in the second case, why do we want to achieve that is a question which usually has an answer in what the society around us recognizes as success. Why do I want to gain something? The other reason why we set up a end to be achieved is that in some form, it seems to satisfy some form of the senses, including antakarana. What do we mean? It could be as simple as doing a crossword puzzle. I want to achieve the end of doing this crossword puzzle well. Or a Sudoku, where they have many categories. One category is called evil. And you want to complete that. Because in some form, it seems to give a sense of satisfaction to oneself, to the senses. It becomes a bhoga vishaya. One wants to have a particular type of cake, more down to earth, because it seems to satisfy some sense. It could be an expression of appreciation or love. I want to gain the approval and appreciation of sometimes the society in general, sometimes of a particular person, because somewhere it seems to satisfy my antakarana. When one examines, is that what I want? Is this satisfaction of sensory instruments by some sense object, is that what I want? Sometimes it may be something much longer. One might set up a target saying, I want to own a big bungalow in a very posh area. Usually you cannot achieve it in immediate, in the long term. Again, one questions why. To live, we need 2 rooms. Not even 2 rooms, 1 room. Protect ourselves from the elements. Protect ourselves from intruders. And yet there is a desire to own a big house in a posh area. To help us in examining this, all our wants and desires, I want this, I want this, I want this, etc., have been classified, and many of you know this already, into 4 broad categories. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Any end that seems to give me more security, comes under the heading of artha. Material wealth, a house, a car, all of it comes under artha. Then the question that arises is, why do I want this sense of security? When you examine that, it becomes clear that I want this sense of security because I am currently insecure. If I were already secure, I would need to increase my security. It is not I'm increasing my security, I'm increasing my sense of my feeling of security because I'm already insecure. That leads us to the next analysis. Why am I feeling insecure? Is a crutch going to give me more security? Or is it just a false feeling that I think I'm more secure? We get more and more elements to feel more secure. More wealth will give me more security. Nice house I own will give me more security. As I'm sure all of you have discovered, if you own a house, whether it gives you security or not, it gives you a headache. Whether you live in the house or you let it out, it gives you a headache. There's constantly some issue or the other to be attended to. And if it's been let out constantly, the tenant coming back and saying, this is not right, the other one is not right. Property taxes to be paid regularly. Somebody will come and say, you're not paid your property tax. All kinds of things. Somehow the feeling is that I can sort it out by having what I think is more secure. I have so much money, I have double that money, I will be more secure. But that's a presumption that needs to be examined in some detail. Every kind of goal that we set up, which comes under artha, needs to be examined. We don't stop there. Somehow, I have got all the money in the world. I have everything that I think gives me security. It doesn't stop there. I want something more. If I say I want a car because it takes me from one place to another, why does one then hanker after a luxury car? That cannot be more security. That has to be something else. All of those desires which are not meant for increasing my security, they come under a broad heading called karma. They satisfy or they seem to satisfy something else in me. So one small house is not adequate, although for all practical purposes, that provides me the security that I think that I need to have. But I need a 16-bedroom villa or apartment even. What are you going to do with that? I just saw the other day in all these cricketers now earn money hand over fist. So somebody has collected some data on the kind of places they live in. Enormous places, 16 bedrooms. Hey, are you going to live in 16 bedrooms? 12 cars. Are you going to put one leg in one car and another leg in another car and go to places? What are you talking about? Or a swimming pool in your house, or a tennis court in your house. Then you need to invite people. Come and see my swimming pool. You have to maintain the swimming pool. It goes on. All comes under the head of karma. Now, if you examine people who have apparently collected all that they think is required for artha, why do they want more? Dil mange more. What are they looking for? They also don't know. But something seems to be driving us. And that something is not getting satisfied. Therefore, somebody who's collected, for example, more than adequate wealth to satisfy all possible artha. Of course, please remember, there are marketing geniuses waiting out there who will create more security need for you. You think you bought everything, they'll come up with something else. But that one is looking for, which is what we need to examine. What is it that I'm looking for in this? Does not seem to get satisfied. I seek more security because I am insecure as of right now. And all that I'm doing now does not seem to make that feeling go away. Therefore, something else must be there. Therefore, karma. Then all the karma I generate also leaves me dissatisfied. You can examine one's own life or the life of people. If you examine your own life, you can say that I've still not completed all that is required for my security. Artha. But you look at people who you think may have done that. Do they stop? They go on to big karma. Karma. Again, they have not moved from where they started. Nothing seems to relieve one of the feeling that I'm insecure, I'm subject to unhappiness, grief, I am incomplete. Then you will find most of them go on to do something. Even these cricketers are a good example of this. artha done, kama done, they don't know what else to do there. They will start a foundation, a trust. To do social work. They may be genuine. They may genuinely want to do social work. But if we examine behind that, what drives them to do that is because that sense of dissatisfaction which they started with continues. They're looking for another avenue for saying, can I remove that sense of dissatisfaction? They may not be analyzing it like this. So they will start something which is close to their heart. A foundation to help street children. A foundation to help women. Something. A foundation to eliminate polio from this world. Maybe that is what will give you what one is looking for. All of these reaching out activities, social work, is classified under the head of dharma. Dharma is a multiple meaning word. But this is one of the meanings. This dharma karyam will produce results in the form of going to another loka after the fall of this body. Why does one want to go to that loka? Because they have faith in whichever scripture they're following. When the scripture says, if you go to that loka after your death, you will have what? Happiness. I've tried finding it here. I've tried finding security by doing all those things in terms of artha. I've tried finding.
Swami G. We can't hear you, Swami G.
What's the problem now?
Swami Ji, we are able to hear you.
I am also able to hear you, Swami.
Oh, okay. Maybe you would have to increase your speaker volume.
Is that just me or
Looks
others
like
also
it.
cannot
Looks
hear?
like it. Looks like it, Aradhana ji. Only you. So you maybe some.
Yeah.
Is it just me, Swami Ji, who
we
can't
can
hear
hear
you?
you.
I cannot hear you.
Only you. So you have to check your system. So somebody send her a chat message, please. So all that security that I want, I've got. All that I haven't got, but I've been working on. All the karma I've been working on. Then I move on to saying I maybe do dharma. And dharma takes me to another loka, and where my scripture says, I will be happy. I will be secure. So can one call it postponed artha and kama? I can't get it here now.
Yes,
I've tried
now
everything. I've tried everything and it did not help me gain my state that I'm looking for, which is to remove this sense of dissatisfaction. So maybe I can get it after death. Postponed artha kama. All of this, one reason why it leaves you dissatisfied is, goes back to what is the sadhya? What is it that one is trying to achieve? If one analyzes and understands what I'm trying to achieve is to remove the sense of incompleteness, insecurity, being subject to grief, then what kind of state should I be in? If Bhagavan were to be graceful enough and say, come be visible to one, and you ask him, I've tried this, it doesn't work, I've tried this, it doesn't work, I've tried this, it doesn't work, what do I do? Bhagavan says, I've analyzed what you want. And you say, I want to be happy. I don't want to be subject to grief. I don't want to be feeling incomplete. I don't want to be feeling insecure. Bhagavan says, Bhakta, I'm very pleased with you. Therefore, once a week, between 6:47 and 7:38 a.m., you will have total happiness. You scramble for Bhagavan's feet and say, no, 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 that's not enough. I want it when? All the time. Or Bhagavan says, I can do another thing. Every Saturday morning, when you are at work or when you're in the bathroom singing, you'll be very happy. Only in the bathroom, Swami? Yes. That also is not acceptable. What it leads to is saying that the happiness that I'm seeking has to be one that is independent of time, independence of place, or even independent of any object. When I'm eating Alfonso mango ice cream, I'm very happy, but when the ice cream finishes, I'm unhappy. Not acceptable. Desha kala vastu anavachinna. Not limited by desha kala or vastu. That is what I'm seeking. And none of these is going to give me that. My sadhya is that state which is unlimited by anything. And here I am trying my best to find it in some object, in some relationship. It doesn't work. This analysis everybody must do. Any artha, any kama, any kind of dharma, I'm not saying don't have these. Shastra does not tell us don't have these. But be aware of their limitations. Every kind of sukha we can gain from this, which is what I'm looking for. Will be limited. It will have a starting point in time. It will have an end point in time. It will go away. Anitya. Any kind of laukika sukha I am searching for and again has significant elements of the opposite, dukkha. In identifying and trying to gain that, during the period when one has gained it, the fear of losing that little thing I've gained, and after it is lost also. There is, all of these stated, there is an element of dukkha involved. Not only that, because of these reasons, I can never reach that state of satisfaction, tripti, because I keep looking for more and more. This will go away, so I look for more. This will go away, I look for more. This will go away, I look for more. Classic example is wealth, money. Never seems to end the requirement. You look at anybody in the world. Knowing very well that the first crore I have managed to gain gives me an apparent sense of satisfaction, but I cannot stop. I want the second. Again, knowing very well that the second will give me less than the first. Nothing. A third will give me even less. A fourth will give me even less. Knowing this very well, one cannot stop. Atripti. All this time, I see everybody around me doing the same thing. How do I deal with this? The first is to understand that what I want, what every human being is looking for is none of these. Born a human being with the ability to think and analyze, my sadhya is none of these. They come my way, I take them. But because I take that attitude, much of the dosha in this go away, because I know I'm expecting it to go. Any sukha I gain, I'm already prepared that will go. Any sukha I gain, I'm already prepared that will come along with the dukkha. So I'm already prepared. When it comes, I take it. But this is not really what every human being is looking for. This is like, Swami Paramarthananda used to describe this, like going to the big supermarket. You get all kinds of things. All of them fall under one of these three categories. And you go to the supermarket to buy a particular thing, maybe an ice cream. And by the time you come to the checkout counter, your bag is full of things which you never wanted. All of us have had this experience. And very clever marketing people will put a whole basket of things at the checkout counter. Oh, let me take one of this also. But really, Swami, what I'm looking for, all this is okay, they come. But what I'm looking for is that state, which is Desha Kala Vastu Anavachinna Sukham. Unlimited benefit. That is not available in the supermarket, called samsara. For that, you have to go to the next store called Vedanta. And look for it. So the first clarity is that of knowing what is the sadhya without belittling any of the goals that one might set for oneself. Unless one is clear about what the real goal is, how is one ever going to find the sadhana that will get you there? First examination is to see what is the sadhya vastu, that which I want to achieve, and therefore, what is the sādhanaṃ that I have to gain? I have to use. Knowing that these limitations, dosha, of every other sadhya, I still take them, but with clarity, saying that that is as it comes. I take it and go, let it go. But my end objective is very, very clear. This text makes an assumption that each of us have already made this analysis and understood that my goal, my sadhya is unlimited Ananda. And Ananda not constrained by anything. By time, by space, by any object, by any relationship, by any situation. That is my real goal. So this text begins with an assumption that we know what we want. Not very easy. But because all of you have gone through some amount of study of Vedanta texts, you will be able to see that it's a possibility. So it is extremely difficult to give up all the other things that I'm trying to do, not only for myself, my children, my parents. Not a problem. Please go ahead and do all of them. As long as one remains within dharma, number one. Number two is fully aware that this is not my end goal, that I have an end goal elsewhere. Any kind of sadhyam that I have for achieving in this jagat, including lokas, it's fine. What are the conditions? One, that I am very clear about the limitations of these. Therefore, my expectation from these is already to the extent only of saying that these limitations remain. I do so much for my child. Child turns out to be very different from what I thought he would. Can happen. So one is the clarity that what I'm looking for is that Purnatvam, infinity. And two, that in between whatever I get, I take it as it comes without letting it affect me in any way. Because I know my goal. And because I know my goal and I'm only working towards these, eventually for that goal, I'm also able to analyze, is this end that I'm trying to work for locally, is it going to make it more difficult for me to gain the real goal that I'm working on? Or is it going to support me in that? If that clarity is there, then whatever achievements are made here and now, which are not opposed to the end goal, is okay. And whatever genuinely supports the end goal is more than okay. And these doshas that we talked about do not affect me because my understanding of these are very clear. Understand is very clear. So the first thing to understand is what is that sadhyam that I am trying to gain. Then it becomes easier to look at saying, what should be my sadhana? Now, if I accept that that is my sadhyam, as this text presumes, then the next question really is, what is my sadhana? How should I start? Where should I go? What should I be doing? Very beautifully, in 5 simple verses, Śaṅkaracārya has given us a complete list to gain that goal, which I know is my ultimate goal. It's called a Pañcakaṃ because it has only 5 verses. That's how these all defined. Dashakam will be 10 verses, Shatkam will be 6 verses. There's also an Ekashloki, only one shloka, complete in itself. So I know that the assumption that is made here is that there is a certain clarity about my sadhyam. When this sadhaka, sadhana, sadhyam becomes clear, I know the sadhyam, I know therefore what sadhana to use, and I am the sadhaka. If that ultimate goal is mokṣā, all of these merge into one. There is no sadhaka, there is no sadhana, there is no sadhya. One becomes a siddha. We have a lot of times you may have heard, in fact, even this place, Arshavidyalaya, when Prashna was done, it came out that a lot of siddhas used to live here at one time. In fact, the Mardhamalai area is supposed to be one where a lot of siddha purushas were there. The first time I heard this word siddha purusha, I was wondering what it signifies. It's quite used, I believe, quite loosely. But siddha is one who has understood that there is no sadhaka, sadhana, sadhya division. No knower, object of knowledge, knowing division. The person should really be called a siddha purusha. So this text actually guides us through the various stages. And it has a structure. Vedic way of life divided our lives into categories of varna and categories of ashrama. Varna categories were divided on the basis of two things. Chaturvarnyam maya shishtam, Bhagavan says. How? Guna karma vibhaga. By guna and by karma. Unfortunately, whether it is divided by guna or divided by karma, the names of the categories are the same. So by guna, a person is categorized based on whether he is sattvic predominant, rajasic predominant, or tamasic predominant. A person who is guna, because only three types of guna. It's only after that it's only a combination, like your RGB and television. You know there's no colors combination. You get millions of colors by just three color combinations. Sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. If a person is predominantly sattvic by guna, such a person is called brahmana. Rajasic predominance further subdivides into two categories. Rajasic predominant person who is also sattvic, who is followed by sattvic guna. He is called a kshatriya. A rajasic person whose next in line is tamasic is called a vaishya. And a person who is predominantly tamasic is called a shudra. Very clear division. This is by guna. Unrelated to this is by karma, the kind of work one does. A person predominantly doing thinking, analytical, teaching, priestly work, that kind of karma is called a Brahmana. A person who does administrative work, protecting the people and property of the society, is called a Kshatriya. Like I said, unfortunately, the names are the same. Life would have been a lot easier if they'd been given different names. A person who does agriculture, trading, etc., is called a Vaishya. And a person who does all the supporting functions. For these three, one is the one who does the thinking for the society, one who does the protecting of the society, and one who does the productive work for the society. The one who provides all the supporting functions is called a Shudra. Now, although they're called the same, they're quite independent of each other. You can have a priest by karma. He is a temple priest. He is not studying the Veda. But in these pandemic times, he will take any job that comes his way. So he doesn't know too many mantras. But he's doing a job of a priest. Therefore, by karma, he is a Brahmana. By guna, he may not be a Brahmana. He is doing it as a livelihood. So you can very well be a Vaishya Brahmana. A person who is a Vaishya by guna may join the army. Although such a person would not be the most ideally suited for the job. In the face of enemy fire, how he will react, we don't know. Because by guna he is a Vaishya. But he joins the army. Army takes him, does all the physical and psychological tests that they know, and admits him. Such a person could be called a Vaishya, could be called a Vaishya Kshatriya. These divisions of guna were really made for society, growth of the society. In a sense, you can think of it as super specialization. If you have an ancestry in, let us say, music, then that skill, that ability passes on to the child, generally. Therefore, this is like a super specialization. The difference is a super specialization in today's world, in, let us say, medical field, is done in 20 or 30 years. This super specialization is done over many, many, many generations. Therefore, hopefully, each of these varna will provide a highly specialized service for the society. Therefore, it is meant to help the society grow. And this specialization is done, like I said, over generations by regulating the lifestyles of these groups. If you, by guna, are a Brahmana, that means your ability to think and analyze is very, very high, and you're willing to study the Shastra and understand and analyze that, then the brain has to be extremely sharp and subtle. Therefore, the lifestyle prescribed for these people over generations is designed to sharpen the brain at a cost. And the cost is typically other elements will be less developed. Physically, they may not be very strong. They may not be very brave. So over generation, that kind of specialization is meant to help the society grow. Each one contributes, and the total becomes more than the contribution of each individual. There's a word in Sanskrit called subhiksha. You might have heard of the word, where every constituent of a group contributes more than he or she consumes. This is subhiksha. They produce surplus. Therefore, the society has always got what is in Urdu called barakat. That surplus is there. And the society, therefore, grows and evolves in a very big way. So these varna categories are made to help the society grow. This may or may not apply in today's world, but this is a structure. Whereas ashrama, which is very different from varna, is meant for individual growth. And this text, Sādhana Panchakam, makes certain assumptions. Like I said, makes an assumption that we know our end goal. And certain other assumptions we will look at tomorrow. And then tells us how one should take these various steps to reach that ultimate goal. We will look at this in the context of this text tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.